do the webinar on updating the forecast model for frost heave or for weakening, as stated in the invitation. And my name is Salla Konttinen, and I work as a university teacher at the University of Oulu. And additionally, Sanna Alitalo, who did her thesis on this topic, has also contributed to the material. And here is the agenda for this webinar. I'll start by discussing the background of the project. Then we will move on the history, current state, and identified update needs on the forecast model. And finally, I will present the possible development paths for the forecast model, including the developed strategy models. Here are the members of the project group. The project was a collaboration between the Finnish Transport Infrastructure Agency and the University of Oulu, with the agency acting as a client and the university as the executor. Jarkko Pirinen served as the expert from the agency, and on the university side, Pekka Leviakangas was the responsible leader. I, Salla Konttinen, was the project manager. Sanna Alitalo was the thesis worker, and Veikko Pekkala was the expert. And if you have any questions during this presentation, feel free to interrupt and ask, or you can send your questions in the chat, and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. And if I can't answer right away, I can get back to you if you leave me your contact information. And this is because I served as the project manager for this project, and Sanna did most of the actual research work, so she has the best knowledge of the forecast model, and I will check the answers with her. Yes, and first, before we dive deeper into the topic, let's clarify some related terminology. In Finland, we have a term called kelirikko, which doesn't have a direct translation in English. A literal translation would be something like weather damage, but that's not quite accurate in this context. So let's clarify this terminology a bit. And here's an image and text. These are borrowed from the Finnish Transport Infrastructure Agency's website. And these illustrate clearly the formation of frost heave. In winter, when the road structure freezes, the water in the structure also freezes. As the weather warms up, the frost starts to thaw, and as we know, thawing does not occur in the opposite way to freezing, because the freezing happens from the road surface towards the subsoil as well as thawing. Well, there's some minor thawing from the subsoil towards the road surface, but it's not significant. So in spring, the road surface thaws faster than the road structure, which can lead to surface frost heave, which is called pintakelirikko. And if the meltwater cannot drain quickly enough from the road structure, the road structure softens and structural frost heave can occur, and this is called runkokelirikko. And in this presentation, I focus especially on this structural frost heave and its prediction. In the literature, there are several terms, and in this presentation, I will use the term frost heave. And this specifically refers to structural frost heave, meaning the softening of the road structure and the resulting damage. Here's a brief overview of the project plan and schedule. The project kicked off in the fall of 2024 and was completed at the end of the year. And the project plan was divided into 4 parts, which were identifying deficiencies and problems, comparing predictions with inventory data, field visits, and development paths. And based on the information obtained from the different phases, conclusions were drawn and recommendations for further actions were formulated. A thesis and a publication by the Finnish Transport Infrastructure Agency were produced based on this work, and this presentation is based on them. And the thesis also covered weight restriction practices more broadly, but due to time constraints, this presentation will focus more on the frost heave forecast model. The project plan then evolved into a research process, which is shown in this image. We understood the logic of the current prediction model by reviewing related publications and contacting the original creators. Practical experiences were gathered through interviews and field visits, and the model's effectiveness was assessed by comparing the actual relative lengths of structural frost heave to those predicted. As a result of the project, 3 development strategies were formulated. And next, we will take a closer look at these 3 different phases shown in image. And finally, I'll present the strategy models. But first, let's briefly take a look at some history of this model. So, the prediction model was developed in 2004 through a collaboration between the Finnish Road Administration and the University of Oulu. And the model was developed in several stages, and the final model was chosen to provide the best possible prediction nationwide. And for the prediction model, Finland was divided into 14 parts, ensuring that each part had as similar climate condition as possible. And the regional division can be seen in the image on the right side. And the division followed the regional boundaries on the maintenance contract at that time in 2004. The model has not been updated since its implementation and is still in use by the FTAI. The Finnish Meteorological Institute produces forecasts based on the model, which are then used in planning heavy transport, such as forestry and food logistics. The model predicts the relative lengths of structural frost heave as percentage, which can then be used to determine the severity of upcoming spring's frost heave on a 3-level scale: severe, moderate, or mild. And the forecast might look something like this, as shown in the picture. And then understanding the forecast model. So here's the original formula of the forecast model. The model consists of factors influencing the formation of frost heave, which were initially selected to have minimal correlation with each other. During the development of the model, 22 different factors were examined, from which the parameters shown in the formula were chosen. And the parameters selected for the model consist of road data, autumn climate data, and groundwater level. And the forecast uses the previous autumn's climate data and is produced in February of the current spring. And the forecast is not updated as spring progresses. This model has an explanatory power of 78.3%. The relative length of structural frost heave predicted by the model is compared to the assumed normal distribution of relative lengths observed from 1998, 1999 to 2003, with threshold values at 20% and 80%. So a mild frost heave changes to moderate at the 20% point of the distribution, and moderate changes to severe at 80% point. And the prediction model thus forecasts the severity of spring frost heave, but it cannot be used to determine the start and end dates of weight restrictions. And the Finnish Road Administration's publications states that the model was developed using the SPSS statistical software through linear regression analysis. But however, during the research, the formula's developer clarified the steps involved in creating the formula, and factors correlating with the inventory results were identified using SPSS, but the actual prediction formula was created using nonlinear regression analysis, modeling, equation fitting, and testing with Excel. And due to the complex process of forming the model, updating or correcting the model by changing parameters is not possible. Instead, the modeling must be done anew. And here's a picture showing when the factors of the model form throughout the year. The frost heave forecast is made at the end of February using data from the previous months and the median frost heave duration determined from the years 1996 to 2002. This forecast is then used in the spring to assess things like setting weight restrictions. Next, we'll go through the interviews and the AHP method. And the goal of the interviews was to understand the practical experiences of the frost heave prediction model's effectiveness and the visibility of weight restriction practices in the interviews work. There were 10 interviews from across Finland, and the interview format was semi-structured individual interviews. The interview was divided into two parts. The first part included the actual interview, and the second part involved examining the weight of frost heave factors using the AHP method, which is developed by TL Saty. The first part was the traditional interview, and the results are shown in this image. And the results indicate that the autumn parameters are divided into 3 categories based on their significance. In the image, the significant factors are highlighted with green background, the possible significant factors with a yellow background, and the factors which were unfamiliar to the interviewers with a white background. And those 3 factors with a blue background are other parameters that came up in the interview, and those are not related to climate factors. And in the second part of interviews, the interviewers were asked to rank 4 spring frost heave factors in pairs on a scale of 1 to 9, where 1 means the factors are equally important and 9 means they are significantly different in importance. And based on these results, we can determine not only the order, but also the impact weight of the factors and an assessment of the consistency of the ranking. And using the AHP method was challenging because almost none of the interviewers had worked with the frost heave prediction model, and some of the factors were difficult to grasp in practice since they were statistically selected variables for the model. However, the impact weight analysis was completed, and it was found that all of the Finnish Meteorological Institute's spring monitoring values were considered important factors, and the drying effect of the wind should also be examined. And the image on the right side shows the impact weights of frost heave factors obtained using the AHP method and a suggestion for a new frost heave factor. The amount of rainfall during the warm period was assessed to have the greatest impact, and the spring temperature sum the least impact on the formation of frost heave. And in addition, the Finnish Meteorological Institute, which is responsible to the technical implementation of the prediction model, was also interviewed, and the results of this interview indicate that there's a lot of measurement data available which could be effectively utilized in developing a new model. Then comparing the forecast with the actual outcomes was challenging due to changed regional boundaries. The Finnish Transport Infrastructure Agency's Velho service provides the inventoried lengths of structural frost heave and the total length of gravel roads. However, road data was not directly available according to the year 2004 regional boundaries, but by combining municipalities, we got as close as possible to the original regional division. But this required a lot of manual work, so the comparison was decided to be carried out for 4 regions with different road and climate types, and those areas was 1, 2, 7, and 11. The results of the regions were similar, and here we will take a closer look at the comparison results of region 7, which is shown in this image. And as you can see, the forecast and the actual results were consistent from 2010 2010 to 2016. And after 2016, things started to change. And this change is believed to be due to the effects of climate change. Although the changing climate and real-time weather data were acknowledged when the original model was developed, but they weren't integrated into the model. So the comparison shows that the forecast model was designed for the climate that existed 20 years ago, and no adjustments were made to account for the changing climate. This is now reflected in the reliability of the model's predictions, meaning the model tends to overestimate. And some of the stages of the research process, we can say that based on the comparison, the forecast model can be said to overpredict, meaning the model does not function appropriately and doesn't meet today's requirements. The logic of the forecast model was determined. The current model cannot be updated or corrected by changing the parameters. Instead, the modeling needs to be redone. And the utilization rate of the forecast model is low, but the frost heave forecast is considered a useful tool for planning transportation and weight restrictions. Yes, and now we move on the development strategies. The paths for developing the forecast model have been formulated into 3 development strategies, which are shown in this image. And the first model is a new forecast formula that follows the principles of the current forecast model's formula. And in this new model, besides the existing parameters, we should identify other possible factors affecting the formation of frost heave, the impact of road data, integrating the road weather model into the forecast, regional division, and the importance of comparing inventory data with forecast for the long-term effectiveness of the formula. And based on the background studies, at least the amount of precipitation before the frost period and the temperature fluctuation around 0 degrees could affect the forecast. Then the hybrid model. The hybrid model consists of 2 parts: a forecast formula based on autumn climate data and spring climate factors. Developing the forecast formula uses sufficiently large dataset from historical climate condition and real-time updated autumn climate data. And the forecast produced by the formula is supplemented with real-time updated climate condition data from the current spring. So the forecast is obtained at the end of February as usual, but it would be supplemented and refined as spring progresses based on spring climate condition data. And new spring climate factors identified in the background study include the sum of spring heat units, the number of frosty nights during the warm period, the length of the warm period, and the amount of precipitation during the warm period. And also the drying effect of wind during the warm period and the possibility of integrating the road weather model into the forecast should also be investigated. And third model is the machine learning model, where we could use machine learning and available data on roads, autumn and spring climate conditions, terrain, soil, regional topography, and the actual relative length of frost heave period. The machine learning model creates forecasts based on combinations of different factors, and the risk with this model is that it might include several conflicting factors, which is why conceptualizing and documenting the decision-making logic is particularly important. And the forecast must be reproducible later, just like in the new forecast formula and hybrid model. And we also need to determine the accuracy and regional divisions that make the most sense for producing the forecast. And developing the machine learning model involves investigating what measurements data is available and whether new measurements are needed. Yes, and finally, I'll present the recommendations for further actions and observations. The first step in developing the forecast model should be to examine what we want to predict and who will use the forecast. Users would get information from the forecast that they can use, for example, in planning heavy transports on gravel roads. So it's important to identify the user's needs in utilizing the forecast. Then we need to identify the factors that contribute to the formation of frost heave, understand the phenomenon of frost heave itself, and determine the available data. Terrain, soil information, and topography have been found to be affect the formation of frost heave. Effective road drainage, along with the right road geometry, can reduce frost heave. And there's measurement data available on the cross-sectional profiles of gravel roads, as well as depths and location of ditches. So the various organizations provide detailed information about roads and terrain using instrumented measuring devices such as data on frost depth, soil or road moisture content, electrical conductivity, and temperature. And the useful data is produced by entities like the Finnish Meteorological Institute and the Finnish Environment Institute, SYKE, the Geological Survey of Finland, GTK, the National Land Survey of Finland, and several organizations specializing in road and soil instrumentation and monitoring. And currently, there's information available on completed frost heave damage repairs, which are expected to reduce the number of severe frost heave damage spots. And additionally, the National Land Survey of Finland produces a point cloud dataset updated every 6 years, which should be investigated for use in examining treeless and open areas. And integrating existing models such as road weather model into the frost heave forecast model should also be explored. So there's plenty of data available for the forecast. So it's important to determine what information is needed, what is available, and if anything is missing. Then defining the variables. Once the factors affecting frost heave have been identified. The variables to be used in the model are determined based on them. And when defining the variables, it's important to investigate whether there are factors or combinations of factors that accelerate or slow down the formation of frost heave. And then creating the forecast model based on the methods, model implementation, and reliability assessment of the forecast. The most promising option for developing the frost heave forecast model is the hybrid model. The hybrid model uses both historical data and real-time information. The methods used in it are well known. The different stages can be documented, and the model can be continuously developed. In a real-time updating model, it would be possible to include spring conditions in addition to autumn factors. In a machine learning model, the impact of weight restrictions and traffic on the forecast could be utilized. The impact of variables on the model should be monitored annually, and the model should be updated according to change in the variables. However, the use of the machine learning model should be kept alongside the hybrid model, as it's potentially difficult to accurately assess in advance. In the machine learning model, the decision-making logic and the factors included in the forecast might remain unclear, and we can say with enough certainty whether the machine learning model can teach itself and how that affects the reliability of the forecast. The machine learning model shows potential in identifying initial values and factors influencing the model. Developing both models, hybrid and machine learning, simultaneously will likely lead to better outcomes for both models than developing just one. And the final step in this process is producing the forecast, after which the circle is kind of complete. The forecast is produced for users who utilize it according to their needs to ensure the trafficability and conditions of gravel roads. So when creating the forecast, it's important to consider what type of data is needed. For example, the current model produces a regional forecast, but the risk is that regional boundaries might change. So it would be more useful to produce a forecast tied to permanent locations rather than changing boundaries. Yes, that's all for now. Any questions?